What is up, SmackNPie here, and welcome back to another Little Nightmares video. I am sorry it took me this long to bring back the first person perspective on Little Nightmares. As you know, a little bit busy nowadays, but we're finally back and I have successfully finished the whole school and teacher area. We should be done with this one very soon, but I quickly want to start this playthrough with this picture on the wall. I don't know what that is, do let me know what it is, but it really is interesting that the television parts, which will happen more as we progress, they are not that different from what you experience, especially the hallway. It's not any different than if you play it from that perspective. So this happens, you run towards it, 6 pulls you back, and yay, success, we're alive. Well done, good job 6. And also, this actually might help us a little bit more in understanding 6, because most of us are like, okay, why did she do the things that she did? Also, are you sick? 6? Why are you coughing like that? But in the ending, you know, we are really confused as to why she did whatever she did. And one of the big questions that we've had for her is that, hey, yo, 6, did you know that Mono is up to something? That Mono in the future might be onto something? If you knew that, then it makes a lot of sense in the world for her to do that. And these are definitely going to help us in understanding her emotions a little bit better. Okay, now let's get back to the topic at hand. Anyways, so I was exploring the school outside area, the playground in specific, and it seems like there's a lot of references to the first game, of course. It's giving me vibes that this outside area will have something to do in the future. It will have something that we will experience in the future. And I just want you guys to keep an eye out on one thing in specific. Y'all remember how 6 was half playing the ball when we were outside the school? That to me was so important back then, but I didn't manage to understand why the developers showed that. But now I understand why, and you'll see why when we get closer to that point that I'm trying to make. Okay, then you have this picture right here. So a lot of you cleared me in the last video. I kept saying that this was Hunter's son. I didn't mean to say that he was Hunter's son. I meant to say that the fat kid is somehow related to Hunter, and I kept calling that sucker Hunter's son. So automatically you would think, who is that on the left side? But apparently these are some of the most important people. That's why they have the big portraits here alongside the teacher herself. Also, just to point out, it's similarly, if not more, scary, full of anxiety and doo-doo whilst playing the school area, especially trying to avoid teacher. It's no different than if you play it, except it's more scary, it's more challenging actually. So yeah, do whatever you want. And also I messed on that up and they just happened like it's a party. They just ran in and found me and just started. Let's move on. Okay, so this is why I feel like my point of DLC remains. So in the school you see this picture, I'm pretty sure you've already seen it, but you have a couple of evidences. Now you have this is what I believe and many in the Little Nightmares community believe to be Mono. You have this full picture in the art book as well. You can actually find all three pictures that actually makes this one giant picture of where he is. This is not school. This picture is in school, but the picture in question is not in school. It is actually in a hospital. And this kid, we believe it's Mono. We believe there is a family relative to this kid is in hospital. It is really interesting how this was hidden here. And also, to this day, the chase is one of the annoying things in all of Little Nightmares. But I still love chase scenes. Also, it seems like the entire town of Pale City was preparing for the mall. And it seems like the mall existed, but it was like so highly praised in the Pale City. Everybody see the high and mighty thing. Because, you know, everybody here in this Pale City is depressed. They don't have that much to eat. They've turned into viewers. And the ones that are sane have been turned into these monsters that, you know, you go up against. So it is really interesting how the mall has been building up even before it was a thing, and people see it as this big, high and mighty thing, and everybody wants to go there, and everybody starts preparing, especially how these kids in school are being brainwashed that, hey yo, Ma is gonna be our savior, Ma is gonna be that thing. So if you put it into perspective with what happened in the mall at the end, yo, 6? Okay, she's onto some revolutionary thing, although at the cost of betraying her friend, betraying another friend, no, you know, and so much other nasty doo-doo stuff things. So yeah, that is a point that I really wanted to share. Also, I just noticed that you have these bullies pictures everywhere. Automatically, you know, you would assume that, okay, it maybe has some lore your intention to it. I personally just think it's up there because of, you know, the grade A students, the smart students in the class. Those students, they have those pictures up there awarded by the teacher or principal. So yeah, that is a point that I just wanted to mention, that it might not have any more significance that we think it has. Also, there are so many pictures of the Pale City from the art book that is in school. Now, I can't wait to go in the hospital to see what other stuff I can find, but there's more of the forest and Pale City being destroyed from the art book pictures in the school more than the hunter's shack. So that is something that was really interesting. And now we talk about the point that I made this whole video around. So I'm pretty sure so many of Little Nightmares community members have shared this, but you have these two portraits in school. One of them, on the left side, you have the ghost kid. I'll touch on him in just a second, but on the right side, you have this familiar face. Now, in the art book, you can actually find who that person is. That, ladies and gentlemen, is 6, and that 6 is actually before she got captured by the hunter, before we even found her being in the hunter's area. Y'all still following me? Yeah, exactly. Crazy, isn't it? That shows two things. Number one, 6 has been to this school, if not as a student, as maybe a visitor, maybe someone who just wanted to be in the school with other kids but was rejected because of her being an outsider. And the ghost kid, well, we've heard stories about Ghost Kid, and go to the comics, you know, his perspective was from his own house, actually. So I have this theory, okay, that from the fat kid to this kid, Ghost Kid, of course, to 6, and even Mono, all these, their tragic pasts have become the reason why they ended up here in the school. But also, the other way we can think is that these two in specific were part of the school, but then they saw the nasty stuff that was happening here in the school, and they realized, okay, we gotta get out of here, okay? She escaped, got captured by Hunter. Ghost Kid, I've made a video last time as well, where I talked about how all the kids that we saw, the 6 kids from the art book, after the Pale City event that happened, the chaotic event, they ended up in this small house. I will touch on it in an alternate ending that is coming very soon. So that is very interesting. So the point that I was trying to make earlier is that we will get to see a DLC happening in school, hopefully, fingers crossed, where we might play as one of the many kids, but the big point here is we might learn 6 and Mono's tragic past. Mono is a lot more interesting here because of the hospital thing and family relative, but here 6, we might learn some references to her. We might even see them. We might even see them before the whole thing went into chaos. Here's another thing whilst you're seeing the first person gameplay on your screens. Here's another thing. If Little Nightmares 2 was the final project Tarsier Studios will ever do related to Little Nightmares, they must finish it with 3 DLCs, and in the 3rd DLC they should do a back in the past, like going back in the past and then going to the future. So you have the present events where, you know, you're in school with this teacher who has her neck, whatever, but at the same time, you have flashbacks of when things were normal. You have flashbacks of when kids were normal. Bullies that were actually good students. The teacher who was actually good teacher. You have that. And then you have 6 looking from outside because she wants to be there. And then you have Mono and his tragic past being in the hospital. Imagine. That would really make me cry. That would really make me emotional. Tarsier Studios, one final ride, giving us glimpses and hopes of making this world back to normal, actually making it happy in the 3rd DLC. Okay, because if you look at in the room, one of the drawings, you have the teacher. It is presumed that the kids themselves don't like the teacher or the principal. And also, I really want a DLC to tackle this kid in specific. Tech made a fantastic video on this, so you should check it out, but I really want to see some nasty stuff happening to these bullies, these kids before they turn into bullies. I really want to see what kind of lengths teacher goes to these kids, because we know what she does to us, but what she does to these kids, that's what I want to know. Also, can I just say that actually playing from first-person perspective helps a lot in dealing with these kids when it comes to the combat. Now, of course, the camera is extremely slow. If I can fix that so that it actually rotates with my movement, it will help tremendously, but you can actually aim and do better when it comes to the combat of this game. And as you can clearly see on your screens right now, it didn't give me that much of a hard time. I just forgot the sequence, so I didn't know which student was coming from which side, and I hated this part even in the first person. No, thank you. Let me leave. Get me out of here. I don't want to be around these kids. Look at how nasty these kids are. What are they doing? Bro, get them out of there. Also, these kids are like equivalent of the gnomes from the first game. So maybe teacher turns the normal kids into the bullies, aka the students from the school. So this might be her thing. You remember in the original one, the lady would turn the normal kids into the gnomes to keep the mall going. Here, this teacher might turn the normal kids into bullies to keep the school going. Ayo, we're stretching at this point, but we will take every point we can get. It really is scary, not gonna lie to you. Teacher, seeing her in first perspective, it's such a great mod that Nico made. It's such a smooth experience that you feel like, okay, this was meant to be in a first person. This was supposed to be in a first person. That's how good this mod is. So, Nico, well done. Then we see 6 getting rescued. Okay, so this part in first person is a lot more scarier than in other perspective. So good luck to anyone trying this out in the first person perspective. I've had some issues with the lag, with the mod of course, but I'm actually glad that it worked out. And also this part you cannot play in first person. There's just no possible way of doing it in the first person, okay? You can do it using the exploration out of bounds stuff, but you can't do it here in the first person. The camera rotation is extremely slow. I hope I can fix that in the next episode, but yeah. Then you have the aesthetics, the raining. I just love rains, whether it's in real life, especially in real life, or in games, movies. Just give me rains. That's all I ask for, and that's Pale City for you. I had to go back and forth a lot of times just to make sure that it doesn't lag. We've seen these posters, like I said in the beginning of this video. It was like the residents of the Pale City were being hyped up about the mall so that they can get ready and prepare themselves for aborting the mall. Of course, they were gonna get slaughtered and be fed to the guests, but yo, it's still cool to see a couple of points being connected. Finally, we're gonna end with this one, 6 getting her coat, and these things being shipped directly from Very Little Nightmares, because gnomes are not new here in Little Nightmares 2. Even though this is a prequel to the first game, gnomes were there in the Very Little Nightmares. 6 escaped from Very Little Nightmares, and most of the things were shipped from Very Little Nightmares. They made it here into the Pale City, and now here they were being prepared for the mall. So now you know the story of the Little Nightmares. Ladies and gentlemen, that would be it for this video, part 2 of our first person perspective of Little Nightmares 2. We learned a lot, and we will learn even more if Tarsier Studios, Bandai Namco, or Little Nightmares somehow help us and be like, okay guys, we have some good stuff coming, aka DLC, now leave us alone, and we will actually leave you guys alone. Subscribe right now, follow me to Twitter and SmackNPie, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, and peace.